quiet night. Indy was walking on the sidewalk to the bus stop. For a moment he arrived, seen a young man standing at the bus stop alone. The young man was just silent with an empty eyes. Not long after the bus came, the young man quickly walked up into the bus. And the bus quickly drove. Indy also entered into another dimension. In the morning, a very crowded traffic road. A bus stopped at the stop. Come down some people from the bus, and also came down the young man. For a moment, he got off the bus. He quickly ran to his workplace. The young man looks like a new employee in the office. Many other employees call him just to be told to tell. Not felt the time had started in the afternoon. The clock showed 5 o'clock. It turns out that today is the day of payday. All employees queue up, as well as the young man. He looked very happy when receiving his first salary. With pride, he called his mother and promised to buy good food when he got home later. The young man quickly ran happily to the bus stop. A few moments he stood up while waiting for the bus. And not long after, the bus came. Hurry up, he went up. It was seen that there were some people on the bus. And accidentally, the young man saw the action of a pickpocket taking a wallet belonging to another passenger. For a moment, he wanted to reprimand, but was hesitant. And finally, the bus arrived at the destination. The young man and pickpocket got off at the same stop. Sankt Buda slowly followed where the pickpocket went. But the action was known by the pickpocket. Chase action was inevitable. continued to flow. The stab was right stabbed his chest, until finally he exhaled on the lonely streets. Indy returned to the real world. He looked at the increasingly quiet road. Ratna was named a suspect. With a glazed look, his eyes wandered like he didn't want to live anymore. A few days, he was just silent and pensive in a prison cell. At midnight, a prisoner shouted hysterically. Everyone in the cell woke up. They were scared. Seeing Ratna already hanging in prison bars, already lifeless. A week before the incident, a young man came to visit Ratna in the cell. Ratna initially smiled at the arrival of the young man. But after a while talking, Ratna cried, lamenting her fate. And the young man just left. Seven days after Ratna's death, rumors got out. Ratna's spirits roam in her village. The village became very quiet and tense when the night came. sometimes the sound of the baby's crying, and sometimes also the sound of a shrill woman laughing. Then word got out. There was a woman who often possessed by Ratna's spirits. Ratna is a widow without a child. She was divorced by her husband 2 years ago. Ratna lives alone in her father's heritage house. While the mother is remarried to another man in the next door. In short, Ratna has a relationship with a young man who is still a virgin. Even her age is far below Ratna. But the couple has often had a husband and wife relationship at Ratna's lonely house. Until one day, it is known Ratna is in the middle of two bodies. The result of her relationship with a young man. Predictable. The young man did not want to be responsible, especially if he had to marry a widow. Likewise with Ratna. He did not want the local residents to know that she was pregnant without a husband. Amid his sadness, Ratna repeatedly looked for ways to abort her womb, but it was unsuccessful. Feel alone and full of chaos. Finally, the time came. Ratna gave birth to a baby in her womb. Ratna gave birth alone in her baby in the bathroom without screaming in pain. For a moment, the baby was born. Ratna immediately covered the baby's mouth and ensnared her neck with a jarit shawl, which was still splattered with blood. After making sure the baby died, without wasting time, Ratna buried the body of the baby beside her house near the well. but beyond the plan. The baby's grave mound burst out with the pungent smell of a corpse. It turned out that a wild dog was digging and ran shit on the poor baby's grave. Villagers who know that Ratna has been pregnant and killing babies, they were angry. Berated and dragged Ratna to the police station.
Okay.
To be accountable for his actions. In the hospital, a young woman who shouted like a possession. The noise made the hospital residents arrive, including Indy. The young girl had just gotten married a few days ago with a young man. Indy enters another dimension. Seen, a young man came to a prison delivered by a young girl. But the girl was just waiting outside. While the young man entered alone. The young man met Ratna. Ratna smiled happily because she thought her lover would return to her. But the arrival of the young man gave bad news to Ratna, that the lover will soon marry the girl's choice girl. And the young man asked Ratna to save meetings about their relationship and burying dark secrets that the baby Ratna killed is the result of their illicit relations. Ratna shackled sadness and despair. Ratna took a thin blanket cloth and then tied it in the upper bars. And Ratna hung himself to death. Indy returns to the real-world dimension. The sound of screaming Ratna's sad cry sounded very loud. Then her husband came to the middle of the crowd. It turns out that young girl is the wife of Ratna's lover. Children ran around playing in a field. They were happy to play hide and seek. One child ran to the bush not far from the field. When the child is hiding, a creepy hand was about to reach it. But suddenly the mother called him from a distance. The child ran over to his mother. At night before, the children played running away happily while laughing. Not far from them playing, stand a woman was looking softly at them. Indy is walking casually. A woman floating, chasing the children. The figure then slowly stopped and turned to Indy. Greeting, the woman's spirits to Indy. Indy immediately entered another dimension. The time when the woman's spirits were killed. A young woman named Diane. She lives happily with her husband and one child who is still small. But for a moment her husband left for work. Diane was seen waiting for someone in front of her house. Shortly thereafter, a package courier arrived. Diane quickly approached the courier. For a moment, the package was given. Unexpectedly, he dragged the courier into the house, then the two people hugged. It turned out that Diane often teased the courier until they finally played in and out. Diane and courier package have a relationship that exceeds the limit. Even almost every day, the courier comes to Diane's house. If the husband has left for work. And even, their intimate relationship is often witnessed directly by his son. But one time, when the courier came to Diane's house, then Diane went back to get a drink. The courier saw Diane's cell phone rang for a while, then chat in. And the message was accidentally read by the courier. Then he took and checked the cell phone. Apparently, a lot of intimate chat with other men. The courier also looked very disappointed and angry. Apparently, not only he often visited Diane at his home. In fact, many other men used by Diane to eliminate his loneliness. And what made the courier even shocked? Apparently, Diane still had a husband. Even though all this time, Diane always admitted that she was a widow of one child. quarrel was inevitable. The courier was furious. Until finally strangled Diane until she was lying limp. Then the corpse Diane was also buried to the bush and covered with dry grass until smooth right near the soccer field, where children often play. And the terrible incident was witnessed directly by his son. The courier brought the child forcibly and was taken away. In the afternoon before, the husband came home. He knocked on the door, but the door was unlocked. When he opened the door, it turned out that his wife and child were not at home. Indy returns to the real world. The ghost of the woman was still staring at her horribly. Indy continued to look at him, until finally a car crossed and pierced the ghost of the woman. And the ghost disappeared. Indy looked at the driving car away. A female ghost figure suddenly appeared behind the back seat in the car.